Welcome to the Rebuilding of Venezuela podcast, business opportunities, the market, and the talent needed to make it happen. We bring you a dual perspective, the U.S. business lens and the inside view from Venezuela. Welcome to the Rebuilding Venezuela podcast, business opportunities, the market, and the talent needed to make it happen. I'm Alex Miranda, coming to you from the United States, and I'm joined by my partner Ignacio, who's on the ground in Venezuela. Together, we bring you a dual perspective, the U.S. business lens and the inside view from Venezuela as this country repositions itself economically. Each week, we break down what's happening, what smart operators are doing, and where opportunity is forming, with a special focus on the talent that will ultimately determine who succeeds. Let's start with your Venezuela reconstruction update. Over the last few episodes, we've built one argument, piece by piece. Reconstruction happens in phases. Energy moves first because everything else runs around it. And the companies that win don't wait for the market to open, they position before it does. Today, we go straight to the center of it, oil. And more specifically, the boom that's coming. Because make no mistake, a Venezuelan oil boom is coming. The reserves are the largest on the planet. The infrastructure is battered, but it's there. And the moment the conditions line up, this sector comes back fast. The question I want to sit with today isn't whether it happens. It's who staffs it. Here's what most people get wrong about who moves first. They picture the oil majors, and yes, the majors will sign memorandums, hold press conferences, take photos. The companies actually positioning right now are smaller. The mid-cap U.S. operators, the service companies, the suppliers out of Texas who don't need a boardroom and 3 governments to say yes. They move quietly and they move early. Every one of them is going to hit the same wall. Not capital, not permits, people. Because you can't run Venezuelan oil from a plane seat. It takes people who know the field, the regulators, the history, the language, people who've actually done this. And here's what American operators need to understand. That workforce is Venezuelan. Ex-PDVSA engineers, operators, commercial and regulatory professionals, the exact people a U.S. oil company will need to run this boom. They didn't disappear. They scattered across Houston, across Latin America, across the diaspora. U.S. operators will run this boom on Venezuelan talent, whether they plan for it or not. And the ones who plan for it have an edge available right now. You can hire that talent today, remotely, before you move a single rig. A Venezuelan oil professional who supports your U.S. and Latin American business now and builds your Venezuelan position at the same time. Capital moves fast, rigs move slow, but talent you can put to work today. To walk us through this, I can't think of a better person. Our guest spent 35 years in the global oil and business sector and rose to become the CEO of Citgo Petroleum. He lived the last time Venezuela opened its oil sector to the world, and his own story took a turn very few people could survive, which he'll tell you himself. Today, he's focused on the responsible reactivation of Venezuela's energy industry. And this September, he's bringing that world into one room in Houston. So let's talk about the boom that's coming and the talent the gas industry will run on. And that's your Venezuelan reconstruction update. Our next guest, like most of the people we bring on this show, is Venezuelan. José Pereira was born in Maracaibo into a family that's been in oil for 4 generations. And he built a 35-year career in the global energy industry that took him from PDVSA all the way to the CEO's office of Citgo Petroleum. He lived through the last time Venezuela opened its oil sector to the world. Along the way, his life took an extraordinary turn, one he'll tell you about in his own words. And with all the events happening in Venezuela now, he's leading the responsible reactivation of Venezuela's energy sector. And this September, he's hosting a summit that brings the whole world together in Houston. But before any of that, Jose, bienvenidos. Tell us who you are and tell us your story.
Well, thank you for having me here. Wow, what an introduction. Let me tell you, I was hearing you and so spot on, my friend. You hit it in the nail because that is exactly what we're planning in our event, putting together the mid-size and the small-size companies from the US with the Venezuelan companies and with the Venezuelan talent, because these are the people that are going to move faster. Because that you mentioned it, the majors are there. They have boots in the ground. You have already in the photo, you have Chevron, you have Shell, you have BP, Repsol, etc. And they signed MOUs and maybe they signed already contract. But these companies move slowly because most of them, believe me, most of them what they're waiting is how will be the move with Chevron. Chevron has been there since years, and Chevron has, let's say, more leverage because has been there since years. So the other companies are trying to understand how it's going to be the move with Chevron, and that's why they're moving slowly. You don't see that the action, but the small and the mid-sized companies don't have that. You mentioned it. That they have an owner that takes the decision and he decides and he moves. That's the people that are gonna start faster. Talking about me, for your audience, I started my career in Venezuela in 1985. I started with Meneven, that was an antecessor that became Corpoven. And Corpoven was transformed after that to PDVSA, and then I concluded here in Citgo Petroleum here in Houston. I'm located today in Houston. And but as you mentioned, my life took a dramatic turn in 2017 because being the CEO of Citgo was during the first Trump administration, and he was already trying to take Maduro at the time. He was doing more in that diplomatic way, not like he finally did it. He thought his advisor of that time were thinking that putting some economical constraints, they could take him, and then he began to impose sanctions. And in the middle of that, sanctions and oil embargo, etc., I was here in Houston in the middle of all these tensions. And I remember I talked with my wife and I said, hey, mommy, I don't like what's happening. I'm going to get retired. I was entitled to get retired because I already had 35 years by that time. And I decided to become a consultant. Well, at last minute, I received a call to go to make a presentation to Caracas in November 21, 2017. Anybody can Google that. And we became to be in the middle of an ambush. We were ambushed, me and my 5 vice presidents, and we were taken hostage by Maduro. And we were taken hostage by Maduro, and the negotiation to get us back took 5 years. So I returned because Trump could not do it, and then it came Biden, and Biden was who negotiated our final release. And we were came through a prisoner swap. Everybody knows that. They don't know me, but they know the story because we were swapped by the 2 nephews of Maduro, the narco nephews.
Wow.
So we became the swap of the 2 nephews of Maduro. So that was the way I could come back in October 1st, 2022. I'm going to have 4 years that I came back. But the point is not when I returned at the beginning, I didn't want to know nothing about oil and gas because for me it was, how it affected my life. But after all the things that began to happen in Venezuela, I began to follow what was going on, and I didn't know when, but I knew that something was going to change, and we began to start putting the move, and finally came January 3rd. And after January 3rd, the situation of Venezuela, even the people don't think has changed dramatically. Maybe not at the pace that people would like, but in 6 months has been a big change. So, and it's coming faster. I believe in the following days it's going to come faster because if you go to the hydrocarbon law and all that is behind. There was a 6 months period for the transition, and it finished yesterday. So the transition at some point is gonna make some change that we will see in the following days. But the point of that is that when we see what's going today, many people call it the Apertura 2.0 because that was the Apertura or oil and gas opening. That was the privatization of the 90s. And we're looking at the thing that's happening today, not exactly the same, but very, very similar. Very similar because the actors are the same. The majors that you see today are the same majors that were in the 90s. That there are only two missing that they're exploring how to go back to Venezuela. That is ExxonMobil and Conoco, because these were the two companies that decided to go to an arbitration with PDVSA. But they're exploring to come. They have been visiting Venezuela. I know people that has been working with them, trying to explore if the conditions are there. And you mentioned something, Alex. Is the question is if it's not if this is going to happen, is when it's going to happen, and the condition has to get aligned. And the Trump administration has said it very clear. He's going to do whatever has to be done to make this happen. So there's some bottlenecks in the law, in the governance, in the organizations, but the things are going to get unblocked because this
Wow,
has to
Jose.
get this.
Jose, you know, I work with entrepreneurs. I have a business myself, and I think to myself, if I want to grow my business, I think let me go out and get the expert who has already been there and let me hire him and bring him in and learn, right? That's how entrepreneurs grow our businesses. And if I was an oil and gas mid-market company in Texas, considering Venezuela, which all of them should be, I would think, hey, let me bring in the expert first, right? Let's start talking. And Jose, I know now you're in this sort of consulting type of phase in your life, which many people who have decades of experience, eventually you get to this place of wanting to share your wisdom and your experience.
Mhm.
Jose, walk us through, I mean, with a person like you, walk us through why should US companies first consider a consultant who's been there and done that before doing anything?
Well, in fact, I'm doing it right now exactly that. I'm consulting a couple of the companies. They are in all the preparation to go back to Venezuela. And the way that they did it, let me tell you, one of the companies that I'm doing the consulting, they started to analyze Venezuela 4 years ago. 4 years ago, they're starting to organize themselves. 4 years ago, they didn't know when it was going to happen, but they organized themselves. And how they did it, they hired remotely Venezuelan people from Venezuela. So they hired people from Maturin, from Puerto La Cruz, from Maracaibo, from Valencia. They hired a dream team. This company has a big advantage because they hire people that were ex-Mobil.
Mm.
And when they contracted me, I got surprised all the things they already have done. And I have been advising them. Of course, I brought my expertise to the team and begin to put the puzzle together. But they're almost like this to announce a big contract in Venezuela. And
What?
they have already boots in the ground. They're negotiating with a big bank that is going to bank them. And they have developed a technology that's going to become revolutionary in the way it's going to be handled, the operation in Venezuela. So
That
you
is
have to
so
hear that from this in the following months.
I
So
can't.
this is an example. Like this, maybe there could be others they're working themselves, doing it silently, doing you don't see media buzz around, but when this happens there's going to be media because you said it very well. I see it every time X company sign a MOU and they take the photo with the people of the regime and nothing happens.
Mhm.
Nothing happened. Many of these people, what are trying to, walk around and see what they can find in some document and then try to look to get financed. But there are people that are doing this seriously. They are thinking that there is an opportunity. Many of these companies are located here in Houston. I have had several meetings with people that are really interested to go in Venezuela because let me tell you something. Maybe people are not familiar with this. Houston is the energy city of the world. You can find here any type of companies in all the sizes. And you have very near, a couple of hours from here, Midland and Permian bases. That is in the port fracking area. All these companies are located mostly here in Houston. Some of them are in Dallas. There are a bunch of them that are here in Houston. These companies started maybe 15, 20 years ago. Exactly what is happening in Venezuela. There were small companies that started to operate in the fracking world and begin to, do their job, and they begin to grow and grow and grow, and they move the production of oil from the US from 2 millions to 13 millions. So this company added 11 million barrels per day. So this company today, the Permian Basin has something that has like a plateau. Okay. And that plateau means that US will need in the mid and the long term reserves to be added to them. Where where those reserves are going to come from?
Yeah.
So now you have a war in the Middle East. You have a war in Ukraine and Russia. That Russia was a big gas producer. You have a war, and all the installations in Iran are destroyed. You have the blockage in the Hormuz Strait. What part of the world is safe right now? And where are the reserves? That country is Venezuela.
Wow.
So everything is pointed to Venezuela. Venezuela has become super strategic. That's why Trump talks about Venezuela every day.
Yeah.
Trump talking about Venezuela every day, because
Jose, you
he
talk
knows
about
what happened
this
there.
this engagement that you came into, and you were like, oh my gosh, you guys have been building this dream team. But let's say 4 years ago they started planning, they started developing this, whatever it is that they started developing. But let's say that Venezuela would have never opened up. Would that company, would all of their research and their money have been lost? Or did that dream team actually produce something that they could use regardless of whether Venezuela opened up or not?
Yeah, they can use it regardless. Yes, but they were pointing to Venezuela.
I know.
They were pointed. These people made a big bet. I got surprised because they put money. I can tell you, these people put money. It's like a gambling. One of the CEO of the company, I always talk with them, and when we have this conversation because to create this big project that I cannot give more details because we have NDA signed, but to put together this big project, they had to put together a bunch of companies to work in the project. So we're talking about around 40 service companies in a whole package.
Whoa.
Almost 40. All these companies are Americans. And these people are betting for Venezuela. And the people they're going to hire is going to be in Venezuela. So they're not thinking to bring people from the U.S. to Venezuela.
Yeah.
They're thinking in the Venezuelan people or the people that is in diaspora. And let me tell you, today with the technology, maybe you don't have to be in Venezuela. You can be a Venezuelan living in Canada, maybe. Or maybe you want to move to Venezuela. But the talent is there. The talent is there.
That is so awesome. Talk to us, Ignacio, about that talent. You have a brother that went from Venezuela, studied in the US, went to serve in Houston in that oil and gas epicenter. What do you see, Ignacio? Is the talent excited in Venezuela about working, about this resurgence? What's going on there?
Oh yeah, 100%. Has Jose mentioned, I think let me put it in a number first, Alex. In 2003, and everything that I'm gonna say, you Jose, you already know. Country fired more than 18,000 oil professional
Mhm.
in just one purge. So that was literally around 40% of PDVSA workforce. Engineers, geologists, Russian people, they were literally blacklisted from here. Obviously, the world hired them, Alex. They went on to run heavy oil operations in Canada, in Colombia, in the Middle East, in US. So obviously the talent is there. As Ose, I know that he has managed the financial of a couple of joint ventures in the 90s. So the same Venezuelan workforce that are going to be working with Chevron, Exxon, are the same companies that are coming back today, and also other joint ventures. So the people who run those partnerships are alive, Alex, are experienced, bilingual, and obviously reachable with the technology nowadays. So some are here, obviously. Many are higher away in the diaspora, but everybody wants to come back. As you said before, Alex, when my brother wants to come back. He was living outside in the US since 2007. So the talent is not the bottleneck. I think the talent, it's more on the matching, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something else regarding that, because the people that are today in the diaspora has maybe 2 decades working abroad.
Mm.
So these people has gained a knowledge that is invaluable. People that have been working, for example, in Canada, the heavy oil of Canada is very similar to Venezuela. So these people
Yeah.
has been working. They move to Venezuela, will be a easy piece of cake for them. They already know what they have to do. The people that are working today in Qatar, that the
Mm.
Qatar is heavy in gas. One of the difference in this opening that is happening now from the opening of the 90, the 90 was pure oil. Now this is oil and
Oil
gas.
and gas.
And gas. And why? Because again, if you go back to what's happening in the Middle East, the installation of gas has been destroyed. One of the things that Iran did, they begin to hit their neighbors in their gas and the electrical installations. So many of these installations will take years to get rebuilt.
Oh man.
Years. So there's a loss of capacity that
Yeah.
today is happening. There's a phenomenon that when you know the oil and gas business, there's a phenomenon that is happening there. Everybody knows that the gas price is pumping up. And one of the thing that is happening is because when in the refinery world there is a crack that is called the 3-2-1. 3-2-1 means that for every three barrel of oil you produce two of gasoline and one of diesel. There is when you buy the oil to put as a feedstock in the refinery, that is called the crack. Then there is a spread between the price that you buy the oil and the price that you sell the gas and the diesel. That margin typically, historically, is very narrow. Typically, the relationship between the two components is narrow. Well, today is very wide. In the last report was a spread of $15. If you imagine, if somebody that is in the refinery world is hearing this, they will understand this. That the most historical price that was like this happened in 2004. We're talking about 22 years ago, and the spread was $30. Today is the double.
The
Why this
double.
is happening is because there is a shortage of oil today, because you have the almost straight close, all these loss operation, everything is rising the price. That's why Venezuela become strategic not only in oil, in gas. So that's why you're seeing companies like Shell or BP or Repsol signing not contract of oil operation, are gas operation. Because
Interesting.
Venezuela has areas of gas. For example, in the Maracaibo Lake, in the Paraguaná area, there is a gas field called Perla that is one of the biggest of the world, the offshore. And in Sucre, there are 3 or 4 big gas areas, Dragon, Patao, Mejillon, and that is in front of Trinidad. And Trinidad has already the trains to produce LNG. Trinidad is a couple of kilometers from Venezuela. So gas is going to be big in Venezuela. That's what
That is so
try to
awesome.
here.
And Jose, you mentioned Houston being the epicenter, the capital of oil and gas in the entire world. And you're bringing this whole world into one room in Houston this September. What are you building with this summit? Who is it for? What's it called? Tell us about the summit, because it's got to be an amazing passion project for you. There's got to be there must be so much emotion slash experience slash, I mean, if I was in your shoes, this would feel like the dream event of your entire career. Tell us about it, brother.
Well, let me tell you how this started. Let's start from the beginning. In March, I was called, like in February, by the Rice University if I wanted to attend the panel they were organizing for their students. So yeah, I said yes, and I came with them with other couple of speakers that we did like a dream team of speakers, and the panel that was supposedly to be for their students happened that during that week was the CERA Week. The CERA Week is the biggest oil and gas event of the world. It's happening about that time in March here in Houston. So we got the surprise that when we did that event, more than 300 people show up without no advertising. So the room was totally full, and it became an awesome event. Everybody got the sense that we needed more, because it was only 5 good speakers talking about what they thought that was going to happen in Venezuela, and that was it. So I got under the impression that we needed to do more. So I contacted back the guy from Rice and said, hey, Nick, he was the moderator of the event. I said, hey, Nick, I'm thinking that we should do like something more focusing how we can help to rebuild the things in Venezuela. And we put in the move. We came back with the speaker that we brought to Rice, and we added some more. So today, for example, my keynote is going to be Ali Moshiri, that he was the former Chevron president. Ali is a guy that worked more than 30 years in Venezuela, and he's today raising fund to invest in Venezuela, knows very well Venezuela. We have Francisco Rodriguez, that is a economist that has been working in the IMF and the World Bank, etc., and he's going to talk about the macroeconomics. I'm having a lady that she's a former director of ExxonMobil on the chart side, because she has, in her experience, she worked in several countries, how they could bring the diaspora to their projects. So she already has that experience, and she's going to share there, and many other of them. But not only that, we're going to decided to put a couple 4 breakout rooms where we're going to talk about infrastructure, community impact. This is so key. You cannot do nothing in Venezuela if you don't involve the communities. So we're talking about people. The communities and the employees are going to be key in all of this, because when you say that the Venezuelans want to return to Venezuela, yeah, but you have to give them the conditions, because if you're hired in Canada, you want to move with maybe the same salary that you have today in Canada. So this is something that the companies know they have to do it. So community impact, we're going to be talking about today. One of the things, the boogeyman is the OFAC. OFAC is the compliance, U.S. compliance. And we're going to be talking also about Venezuelan law, because there are a couple of laws that have been changing. What is going to be the impact to help for all this? So we're putting all this together. The main, let's say, point of the event is that we are going to generate a white paper, because we're inviting U.S. officers. We're inviting several U.S. officers, congressmen, and policymakers, and we're going to deliver that white paper coming from the attendant of the event. So who is going to be the attendant? The mid and the small size U.S. and Venezuelan companies investor, the main sponsor of the event is Banesco. Banesco has been supporting this event because Banesco also is thinking how they can help in this rebuilding of Venezuela. Let me tell you, the day after the earthquake, the chairman of Banesco took a plane. He lives in Spain, and he moved the day after he was in La Guaira, helping in the
earthquake.
and there. So this guy was so committed, and he mentioned that everything he has today he owes it to Venezuela. So he wants to help Venezuela. That's why he's so focused and committed with this event. And well, intentionally, if you're hearing this and you want to have intention to go to Venezuela, many people, for example, from Florida say, "Well, I'm not from the oil and gas." You don't have to be from the oil and gas, because the oil and gas is something that will expand to all the economy. It will expand to infrastructure, electricity, services, food, whatever car dealers, everything has to be done in Venezuela. So you can
so
imagine
much industries
that will motorize everything, because that's the impact of the oil and gas that is massive in the capital investment, and that will deploy it across all the economy.
Do you plan on having this event every year? Is this sort of an annual conference?
We want to do it every year. That's why the white paper, the intention is that we can make follow-up how things are moving, because we don't want to do this like a simple networking event. We want this to become a movement. In fact, we, after the finishing of the event in the app of the event, it's going to be open for the next month, so that people can even make follow-up on the connection, because there's of course there's going to be opportunity of networking of that. If you're a Venezuelan company, you are in the, I don't know, in the electrical business, and you want to have a partner with a U.S. company, well, maybe you're going to find there your potential partner in that event, because we're going to have at the end of the night a cocktail where the people in a relaxed way, they can make the connection. The bank itself is going to make a stand. They're going to have one-on-one with the people that maybe want to become client. The bank is bringing the bank of in Venezuela, Panama, and the U.S., the 3 branches. They're going to be in the event.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's so exciting, Alex.
Yeah, look, his event's called Venezuela Reawakening.
It's almost the same. Almost the same.
We had a podcast. Ours is Rebuilding Venezuela. What are we seeing here is that there's an excitement about the rebuilding, the reawakening. People are doing things. We're doing things. You're doing things. And I was talking to Ignacio about us attending that. We're a staffing agency. We staff.
You have
US
a perfect niche in the event.
I know.
They're going to be the company that they maybe are going to hire you.
All these companies.
Let me tell you something, Alex. Have you mentioned, Jose, that we started like a recruitment campaign to start having a database of oil and gas? So we already have like 2,000
in the event offer to the tender, because I have been talking with many of these companies, and we're going to reinforce the message during the event that if you want to be successful in Venezuela, there are 2 key things: people and community. Both.
Yes, it's true.
People and community. One of the
connection, Jose. Connections.
Yeah. People, we as Venezuelan, we have a culture that only we know. If you want to go to the Faja, I always put this example. La Faja, the area that is one of the epicenters of the Faja, is El Tigre and Anaco. Because there is the area where are located most of the biggest oil fields. In that area, there is an Indian community called Cariña, in an area called Tascabaña. And the leader of that community has the status of the governor of Tascabaña. They have their own rules. If you want to do business there, you have to go to this guy. And this guy, maybe he's going to be providing you workers. This guy is, by the way, I believe he's a lawyer. He graduated as a lawyer. And they have their own rules. This is a reality that only a local can understand. So if you don't have that type of relationship, you're going to fail. You need that relationship.
You're right. Yeah, we're when all of this happened, I thought to myself, we need to create a database of all of these oil and gas people, because my database didn't really have them. Before this, my database was people that wanted to work US jobs, marketing people, engineers, salespeople. They were just working for US companies. Oil and gas people, we weren't recruiting oil and gas people, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. All of a sudden, we're like, we need to specifically recruit them, because what was happening is the people themselves were thinking, man, now I can get a job again in the oil and gas industry. They went off to be teachers or other things.
Mm-hmm.
So we created a website, Jose, like a landing page, to only start to, because in Venezuela, we're like an employment agency. So but we were like, hey, if you worked in the oil and gas sector, come to our site, upload your CV, and then wait, right? Wait for now the US companies, going to summits, talking to each other, hiring guys like you who are putting plans together. And then we're going to be positioned to take that database and say, hey, are you looking for this kind of talent? Here it is. Let's find that job. So I think even a company like ours should be absolutely involved with a summit like yours, just because there is a tremendous connection between what you're doing and what we've got going on. Maybe even I have a client, Leduc Entertainment. They work with companies like ours to set up booths inside of conferences to record podcasts at conferences. Could you imagine the Rebuilding Venezuela podcast being there
Live.
and recording some episodes right from
that will be nice. I have a friend that is going to come to the event from the Daily Journal. And he's gonna come because he attended a Rise event and he did that. He came and he did interviews during that, and then he sent it to his newspaper. For example, talking about this company that I'm advising, because it's a good example. These people, all of them are former ExxonMobil. The ExxonMobil operated the Cerro Negro oil field in Venezuela. All these guys were some of them in other countries, some of them were in Venezuela, maybe working as teachers on another company. And this guy begin to recruit all these guys together. And they put the people, geophysical, petrophysical, drilling engineers, planning, a bunch of, really, that guy put a dream team together. Well, he was telling me this morning, I had a meeting with him this morning, and he told me, Jose, that one of the partners that are going to be part of this team is a group of 14 companies that are integrated. The guy told me, Jose called me yesterday night at 8 p.m. and the guy said, we are here to work for your country. We want to be there. You can count on us. It's an American thinking in how they can help. And this guy have expertise here in Houston in the energy sector, in the electricity generation. And the guy told me, I'm gonna even put some generators there to help for the electricity problem in Venezuela. So this type, and he's an American. It's an American, but they're thinking not only as a business, they're looking this as a way to help to rebuild Venezuela.
What do I do if I want to go to this summit? Give me the website. When is it? Give us the time. Give us the details.
Okay, it's going to be September 17th here in Houston in the Hyatt Regency in the Energy Corridor. The people that doesn't know, the Energy Corridor is where all these oil and gas companies are. You can, from that street, from the beginning to the end, you can find Conoco, Chevron, Shell, all the big companies are located there. And it's going to be September 17th. The page is VenezuelaReawakening.com. We're going to have the two modalities. You can do it in person, or if for some reason somebody cannot travel, we're going to also have the online presence. So many people that can be hearing this that for some reason cannot travel, you can do it online. It's going to also be recorded. It's going to be recorded, so you will have the recording after also. But the point is that, of course, being in present is you have the ability to network with the people. Because we're going to have the U.S. officers, we're going to have the companies, we're going to have the bank. So that the bank is willing to offer financial opportunities. So if somebody's hearing this and needs financing, the bank is going to be there. You're going to have the CEOs of the banks there. You can sit down and have a chat because they have asked to allocate them a room. They can have one-on-one if somebody wants to have one-on-one with them. So the opportunity is there.
Amen. I love this. I just can't help but to pray for this event, that it be an amazing event, that God would bless it, that it would bring the most amazing opportunities, the most amazing people together of what's needed right now. Jose, I commend you. I applaud you. I pray for you, for your continued success, and for our relationship, that we're just getting started. We have the same mission. We both, I would say before the events of January, I think the mission was, or the prayer was, God, restore this country back to its people. And then all of a sudden, we wake up January 3rd, and it's like, oh my God, it's been answered. And now our prayer is switching. It's, let's reawaken, let's rebuild. And that is something that we are aligned with you. Count on us as two spirits,
Partners.
two partners that want the same thing for Venezuela. I'm praying for your event, for this one and the future ones, and for all the work that you'll do with these companies to help them enter responsibly.
Yeah.
Because I would also imagine, Jose, the technology back then is different than the technology now. And so there's a whole new way to do.
Well, let me tell you, this company is going to do things that are going to be revolutionary. For example,
I can't wait to hear about
the
this, guys.
electricity is auto-sustainable. They already have it. They have controls. They can monitor from here to the Houston base all what is happening in the oil field.
I love it.
They will have the ability to do it from their phone. You can be by your phone controlling an oil field.
What?
So it's going to be. They have developed the way of the building facilities, a surface facility already prefabricated.
Imagínate.
Many things that in the past took maybe years to do it, they can do it in months.
Oh my God.
So, and this has been a lot of brains working in this. And let me say something that God bless you that you were praying for us. We had 2 meetings yesterday that for us were crucial. And both meetings were like, okay, let's do this. And both of them took 37 minutes, and I saw that time. And when I finished, I talked with my client that he's a Christian guy, and I said, what is the meaning of the number 37? And today, this morning, my wife told me, read the Psalm 37. Wow. And there was the answer there. So you have to read the Psalm 37, and there will be the answer of that God was talking to us. Because this is something that we're doing not for business. It's because we really believe this is going to help into the rebuilding of Venezuela.
Let me read the first one. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. This is going to be so good. It's going to be so awesome for Venezuela. And before we wrap up, if I pull the thread through everything Jose just walked us through, here's what I'd say the takeaway is, move early. He just gave you an example of a company who moved super early, right? Fine, you didn't move 4 years ago. Start now. Don't wait, okay? Bring in consultants like Jose. There's many people. Jose can't consult everyone. There's going to be an army of consultants that are going to be needed for this to happen. So find yourself someone who's got tons and tons of experience, like a Jose. Start developing that plan through these guys. They have the connections. They know the communities. They can position. They can have ideas for what's new for Venezuela. And then, the talent. The talent is there. Look, Ignacio shared that his brother wants to move back to Venezuela. There is a diaspora that is very, very motivated, but they need to get contracted today. They need to get contracted today so that they can start to, wind things down wherever they're at so that they can move into Venezuela. The talent is there. They are excited to serve U.S. companies. And you, Jose, putting together this amazing summit, VenezuelaReawakening.com, just the beginning. This is the beginning of multiple events, multiple conversations, but the dominoes must begin to fall so that we can reawaken and rebuild this beautiful, amazing country. That's it for this episode of the Rebuilding Venezuela podcast. If you got something out of this conversation, follow us wherever you listen. We've got more episodes breaking down where the opportunity is in Venezuela's reconstruction and the talent that will determine who captures it. Our mission is simple: to be the bridge between global opportunity and Venezuelan talent as the country rebuilds. And if you're someone building towards Venezuela, a company, an operator, an investor, and you'd want to be a guest on this show, reach out to us at rebuilding.virtrify.com. Until next time, this has been your Venezuela Reconstruction Update. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having me.
Jose.